So, thought we'd do a little bit of practical maths this morning as our first assignment, which will take up about half your lesson, and then we'll do some exercises based on that. So, we need some things, and so I'm going to give you the list of the things that you need, and then you can go away and get them, stop the video, go away and get them, and then come back and then run the video and do the rest of what you're supposed to do. So, things we need are, we need paper, or your exercise book, because we're just going to draw a table on there. Obviously, if we're going to draw something, we need a pencil. It's a maths lesson, so we need some maths equipment. We need a ruler. We need a calculator of some sort, so it doesn't need to be a complicated calculator, just to do division and multiplication. Then we need some obviously other mathematical things. We need something to measure with, and I'm going to use a shoelace. You can use a piece of string or a piece of ribbon, anything that's flexible and can curl around things to measure them. So there's our measuring string. And then we need some things to measure. We need some round things to measure. What we need are some tins. I've got a tin of tuna fish. I've got a tin of fish paste. I've got a jar of jam. And I've got a tin of coffee. I want you to get 4 or 5 things, preferably 5. And then we're going to do something with that to work out some things about circles. So off you go, get those things: paper, ruler, pencil, string, tins, jars of different circumferences, different diameters, different sizes. Okay, so you go off, stop the video, go off and do that, bring them back, and then start the video again. Okay, you're back, you've got the things. Now what we're going to do, we are going to first of all draw a table. The table we're going to draw is going to have a heading of jar, so it's whichever one of these it is. It's going to have circumference. Circumference. Circumference is just a different word for the perimeter of a circle. So we use the special word circumference for the perimeter of a circle. We're then going to have the diameter, which is the distance across the circle from one side to the other. And then we're going to do the circumference divided by the diameter. And that's what we need the calculator for. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and hopefully you've got 5 different types of jar. And now we're going to start our work with them. So I'm going to do the tuna fish first. Tuna. And I'm going to take my bit of string, and I'm going to hold the piece of string there, and I'm going to wrap the string around the length of the jar until I get round again, and there I've got that distance, and I'm holding it carefully there so I know exactly where that would have stopped. So that length there, that length is the circumference of the string. If I were to roll the can along, put it on a certain place on here, roll the can along until it came back to where it started from, that would be the length that it would cover. Okay, so it's a bit like a wheel, isn't it? All the way around a wheel. Now I'm going to keep hold of this, not let go. Get my ruler, and I'm going to measure the length of this. And I find that the length of this comes out to, put that at 0, and that comes out to there at 27.7 centimeters. So that's 27.7 centimeters around the circumference of my tuna can. Then I'm going to do the diameter. The diameter is a little bit harder because I have to find out where the center of this can is and measure across it. And if I do that, I can get this as accurate as I can, and I can see that the distance across the center is 8.7 centimeters. 8.7 centimeters. And I'm going to do those measurements for each of the jars. So around the outside, across the middle, and there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the calculation of circumference divided by the diameter. So circumference divided by the diameter, so 27.7 divided by 8.7 equals 3.1839, and it carries on a bit. So that gives me the ratio of the circumference to the diameter. And when you're going to do that for each of the different size tins that you have. So what I'd like you to do is stop the video now and do the measurements for all of your tins or jars and put them in the table. And whilst you're doing that, I'll do mine. So stop the video and then come back once you've done that. Alright, you're back. So I'm just doing the last calculation. So 16 was the circumference of the small jam jar divided by 5.1 equals 3.1372. There. Okay. So you will have been measuring different things, and you'll have measured things to slightly different accuracies. That's the way with these things. And if you've done that, that's fine. So you'll have different numbers to me. But the important thing to look here is that look how close together all these numbers are. They're all 3.1 something on my measurements. Okay? And the thing is that if we were to be able to measure these exactly accurately, these numbers would have been exactly the same all the way through, because the circumference of a circle divided by the diameter always gives us the same answer. And the same answer it gives us, and there's on your calculators there is a special button for it. Here we go. It's that number there. Pi equals 3.141592 and so on. And that equals, we call that pi, because that's a constant. So you could take any circle you could find, any round thing, anything that was round that you could find that you could measure around the circumference and across the diameter, and if you do the circumference divided by the diameter, the answer you get is always 3.141592, and that's a very special number in mathematics. It will occur lots of times. We'll use it an awful lot. So if you can start to remember that it is 3.142, we abbreviate it to 3.142, and we'll use that an awful lot in our maths as we go through. Now, how we use this, I'm just going to turn this sheet of paper over. If we have a circle, and I'm going to use my tin to draw the circle around. There we go, there's our circle. If I tell you that the diameter of that circle is 5 centimeters, we don't need to measure around the outside to find out what the circumference is. The circumference equals the diameter times pi. So in this case it equals 5 times 3.142, and I'm going to use that abbreviated value that we have. So 5, cancel this, 5 times 3.142 equals 15.71. And if we were to measure around there, we were to get our bit of string out and measure around, we would find that that would be the answer. I can also do this for another circle. I'm just going to draw around my pot of jam to give us a different size circle. There we go. And let's say we have a radius now of 2 centimeters. The radius is the distance from the center of the circle to the edge. And the circumference equals, well, the diameter of the circle is 2 times the radius, isn't it? So if we have 2 times the radius times pi, we would get the circumference. And we often abbreviate this to 2 pi r. 2 times pi times r is the circumference of a circle. So in this case we have 2 times 2 times 3.142. Get our calculator out again. 2 times 2, because the radius in this case is 2, 3.142 gives us equals to 12.568 centimeters. So we can get quite accurate with our answers in this situation. So what I've set up for you is a little quiz on the second assignment for the lesson. So what I want you to do now is, first of all, is to photograph this table that you've created with your measurements and upload that as the hand into this assignment. And then I'd like you to carry on and do the second assignment, which has a quiz that's based on being able to use this information. Okay? Do that and then come back at the end of the lesson, make sure you hand everything in, and hopefully you will have learned something. Okay, thank you.